All right, now Heidi, the Eaton family in Johannesburg is considering suing Eskom for their 3-year-old daughter's death. We know that she died after oxygen machines went flat due to extended power cuts. Who have you been able to speak to so far today, Heidi, in terms of getting an update, and what steps can this family take?
Yes, so I think just for context purposes, we do know that little Nehemiah died last week, Thursday, Masego, and the reason for this is because she got a viral infection and she needed to be on oxygen. However, the oxygen machines, the battery life ran out, and the reason for this is because they were supposed to get power back, but because of the extended power cuts in the Bromhof-Randburg area, they unfortunately had their oxygen tank not refilled because they were expecting the power to come back on time, and they then rushed Nehemiah to the hospital, and sadly she passed on in her mother's arms on her way to the hospital. Her funeral was yesterday, and I think the most tragic part in all of this is that her family, who had spoken to us on Sunday, was still considering whether or not they are going to be suing Eskom or the state with regards to little Nehemiah's death. And they were telling me how difficult it was for them to prepare for their baby girl's funeral because they had not had power since Monday. So it just seems as though the power cuts are relentless in the Randburg, Bromhof area. And the Eaton family is saying, you know, they wish that their story and their daughter's story can actually put pressure on government officials to understand that having electricity is a basic right and it's a service that they're paying for, and they're not receiving it. And unfortunately, tragically, they lost their daughter because of all of this. We will be speaking to Nehemiah's dad a little later on this afternoon, but we did get a chance to speak to the Human Rights Commission, who have also expressed their dissatisfaction and concern around the ongoing power cuts and how this is really causing havoc in many people's lives, in all of our lives, and they are, of course, looking into the matter as to the kind of impact it's having, particularly in this family's case. Let's listen to what the Human Rights Commission had to say.
As the Human Rights Commission, we've noted the impact of load shedding on health infrastructure and health budgeting. In our last engagement with NEC Health, for instance, we were advised on the increased budget in some of the bigger hospitals as a result of the money that must be used for the functioning of generators, which was not something that was previously that had to be budgeted for previously. So there's definitely an impact on load shedding on the provision of health care. We can't necessarily say at this point, we haven't received as well that report from the MAC on whether they've tied it to load shedding, but one can't really exclude it because we can say, you and I, everybody feels the impact of load shedding, and the people who are worst affected by those are those people who, even on ordinary instances, cannot access basic health care provisions, even basic things like accessing a hospital, accessing a clinic, accessing an ambulance.
Right, that was your ENCA lunchtime update from all angles with reporters Linda